Sarah Ferguson has reportedly fled the luxury Austrian wellness retreat she called a sanctuary. And according to new reports, she is once again leaning on wealthy friends for somewhere to stay after her location was exposed. The former Duchess of York had been keeping a low profile inside a £2,000 a night apartment in the Austrian Alps. But once photographs emerged, that private escape appears to have come to an abrupt end. And now the big question royal watchers are asking is simple. Where does Sarah Ferguson go next, and who is paying for it? For months, Sarah had largely vanished from public view. Reports say she had been out of sight for 213 days before she was finally photographed at the Mere Life Wellness Spa in Alpine, near Salzburg. It was not some modest countryside hideaway either. This was a high-end medical spa known for luxury treatments, privacy, and wealthy international guests. The reported cost of her apartment was £2,000 per night, which works out to around £14,000 a week. That is a serious bill for anyone, especially someone who has repeatedly faced questions about money over the years. According to reports, Sarah was not mingling with guests by the pool or strolling through the lobby. Instead, she mostly stayed inside her suite, ordered room service, and kept away from communal areas. In other words, she appears to have been trying to stay unseen. That strategy worked, until it didn't. Once newspapers published photographs showing she was there, reports say her safe haven had been compromised. Shortly after that, she reportedly left the resort and began reaching out to friends for help. One source quoted in reports said, "Sarah has good friends. People who know her well are happy to help her. She won't be left with nowhere to go." That may be true, but it also tells you something important. If your next step depends on the kindness of friends, things may not be as secure behind the scenes as they once looked. And this is where the story becomes even more interesting, because this was not just a holiday retreat. This was the very same spa Sarah praised publicly in the past. During an earlier stay in 2023, after her cancer diagnosis, she recorded a promotional video for the resort and described it as a safe place, a sanctuary, and probably one of the only places in the world where I can just be Sarah. That is quite a statement. And it suggested the resort had become more than a wellness centre. It had become a refuge, somewhere she could escape the headlines, the pressure, and the constant scrutiny attached to the York name. But sanctuaries only stay sanctuaries if nobody knows where they are. And once her location became public, reports suggest the arrangement was over. Now, there is another layer to this story, and it is one many royal watchers will already suspect: the question of money. Reports say it is unclear how Sarah funded her latest stay. That uncertainty has fueled fresh speculation because Sarah's finances have long been the subject of media attention. Over the years, she has written books, made television appearances, signed media deals, and launched commercial ventures. But she has also faced public financial troubles, debt stories, and criticism about her lifestyle. So when a woman reportedly staying in a £14,000 a week luxury retreat suddenly leaves and begins contacting wealthy friends, people are naturally going to ask whether the money had started to run out. Royal commentator Tom Sykes, writing in the Daily Beast, reportedly claimed the idea that Sarah was financing an Austrian spa break entirely from her own pocket strains credulity. That is a sharp phrase, and it landed because it reflects what many people were already wondering. He also said rumours were circulating about a possible book deal, perhaps a memoir or tell-all project that could bring in a substantial payday. And, if true, that would fit a pattern we have seen before. Whenever Sarah Ferguson faces public controversy or financial pressure, there is often renewed speculation about interviews, memoirs, or commercial opportunities. She has always been one of the most media-savvy figures connected to the royal family. Unlike more reserved royals, Sarah has often spoken openly, reinvented herself publicly, and found ways to remain in the headlines. Some admire that resilience, Others see it differently. But either way, she has survived scandal after scandal by staying visible. The difficulty now is that this latest chapter comes during a particularly bruising period. Recent reports say Sarah has faced serious fallout because of renewed attention on her links to Jeffrey Epstein. According to the articles, a new release of documents by the US Department of Justice in late January included further details about her past friendship with Epstein. The reports say those documents included emails in which she apologized to Epstein and referred to him as a supreme friend. That phrase caused outrage. There were also reports that she had taken Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie to visit Epstein after his release from a Florida jail in 2009. Now, it must be said, the articles state the emails did not indicate wrongdoing on Sarah's part. But in royal scandals, public perception can move faster than legal nuance. And the reputational damage appears to have been severe. According to reports, Sarah was dropped by multiple charities. Those named included Julia's House, the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation, Prevent Breast Cancer, the Children's Literacy Charity, and the British Heart Foundation. That is a significant list. Charities are often cautious institutions. They know reputation matters, and they tend to act quickly when controversy becomes too large. Reports also state she lost the freedom of the city of York after councillors voted unanimously to remove the honour. That is a symbolic blow, but symbols matter deeply in royal life. Titles, honours, patronages, associations, these things are part of the currency of status. And when they begin disappearing one by one, the message is clear. Then there is the personal side of all this. Reports say Sarah is in constant contact with her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, who are concerned about the effect recent events may be having on her mental health. That detail stands out. Because beyond the headlines and the gossip, there is still a family trying to navigate public humiliation under intense scrutiny. Beatrice and Eugenie have often remained publicly supportive of their mother. Through years of scandal, criticism, and tabloid attention, they have generally presented a united front. That loyalty seems unchanged. And if Sarah is now moving quietly between trusted friends while staying out of sight, family support may matter more than ever. Still, many royal watchers will notice something else. Where is Andrew in all this? Sarah and Andrew have remained famously close despite their divorce. They have lived under the same roof at times, defended each other publicly, and maintained one of the most unusual post-divorce relationships in royal history. For years, people joked they were the divorced couple who never really separated. So, if Sarah is relying on friends, some will ask why her ex-husband is not seen as the obvious refuge. The reports do not answer that question directly, but it adds another layer of intrigue to an already unusual story. And there is one more striking detail from these reports. They say Sarah had been travelling around Europe since December, after last being seen in the UK for her granddaughter Athena's christening. That paints a picture of someone living quietly, moving discreetly, and staying just out of reach of the cameras. Not settling, not returning to normal public life, not stepping confidently back into royal circles, instead, drifting from one private space to another. That is a very different image from the lively, outspoken Sarah Ferguson many people remember from earlier decades. Back then, she was front-page material for entirely different reasons. The energetic redhead who married into the monarchy, charmed crowds, broke rules, and later built a second act through books, television, and personality. She was messy at times, controversial at times, but never dull. Now the tone feels darker. The woman who once embraced publicity is reportedly hiding from it. The woman who once sold access to her story may now need another story to fund the next chapter. And the woman who once called an Alpine retreat her sanctuary has reportedly had to run from that too. It is a remarkable turn. Of course, some of these claims rely on unnamed sources and tabloid reporting, so it is fair to keep a degree of caution. The exact details of her finances, travel plans, and living arrangements are not publicly confirmed in full. But even allowing for that, the broader picture is hard to ignore. Sarah Ferguson appears to be facing one of the most difficult periods of her public life. Her reputation has taken another hit. Her charitable roles have reportedly fallen away. Questions about money have returned, and the privacy she sought in Austria has now vanished. So what happens next? Does she re-emerge with a new interview, a memoir, or some kind of comeback campaign? Does she remain quietly in the background, supported by friends and family? Or have we entered the final stage of Sarah Ferguson as a public figure, where the glamour is gone and only damage control remains? With Sarah Ferguson, it is usually unwise to rule out another reinvention. She has surprised people before. But right now, the image is not of reinvention. It is of retreat. And for someone who spent decades fighting to stay visible, that may be the most telling detail of all. What do you think? Is Sarah Ferguson simply lying low until the storm passes, or has the money and the options finally run out? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoy royal updates with all the latest twists and turns, make sure you subscribe before you go. Thanks for watching.